All right, so we are talking about The Witcher on Netflix, episode 2, Four Marks. My name's Linus Wilson. There will be spoilers in this, so if you've not seen the episode, you probably wouldn't want to watch it before you watch this. So, spoiler alert. Please subscribe and hit the bell notification icon so you don't miss our videos. We're going to do reactions to all uh, all 8 episodes. We're watching them one at a time, watching them in real time. It's still early in the morning here in Central Time Zone, but I just finished episode 2. I really liked it. I really liked Four Marks. There was a lot just surprising and fun about it, and we'll break it all down. Um, there's a lot we knew, of course, with Yennefer's featurette, and so we were expecting that she was going to be sold for 4 marks. I like that they put it in context. So Yennefer was kind of this hunchback with the something wrong with her jaw, and we found out later in the episode one of the reasons why her dad was not so nice to her was because he was her stepdad. So his evil her evil stepdad, and we got to get in context why the 4 marks was what 4 marks was really worth. It was worth a pig was worth 10 marks, and a Yennefer was worth 4 marks, right? Um, so I think it's pretty understandable why someone might be suicidal after that. And then we go to this school for Aretuza. So Tissaia de Vries, the rectress of the school for Aretuza, buys her for 4 marks, and then she enters this class of 6 novices who I guess show amazing talent, right? So obviously the talent that Yennefer showed was that she was able to teleport to Banard, um, where she was that set off the alarms for Tissaia. But let me look at and so her so we had Anya Shalatra as Yennefer, playing off, of course, Tissaia, but we also had, let's see, Fringilla Vigo there in her class. We also saw Tissaia, of course, was the rectress and her teacher and mentor, but Royce Pearson played Istred, and Istred showed early interest in her, and friendship, maybe a relationship there, but we were not sure if that relationship is for real or not, how genuine it is. Um, but it feels like there's an emotional connection there. But we also saw at the end of the episode that maybe, you know, both Istrid and Yennefer are kind of put up to this kind of cat and mouse game by their mentors. So I'll get to that in a second, though. So, we see Yennefer, of course, she's suicidal, and she does slit her wrists, but does not succeed in killing herself. We see that off screen, and then we have the balancing the rock trick, catching the lightning in a bottle, and all this stuff. It feels very Harry Potter-ish. But, Tissaia makes these startling statements like you're going to die if you don't succeed in her trials. And, it doesn't seem so Harry Potter-ish. It seems like a very tough school. Seems a little bit more like the Witcher schools, where 30 to 40% of them are going to survive the trial of the grasses, and we find out at the end that it's like that at Aretuza too. It's the trial of the slugs. So poor Lar, Doralis, and Annika just didn't cut the mustard. So that's so funny, such a funny scene. I never expected that. If there's a provenance for that in the books, I don't know, but I thought it was cool. And the so those poor girls were turned into slugs. I guess they used their magical powers because that gives the sorceresses greater magical powers to draw from. I don't know, because they've turned these magically gifted girls into slugs. Poor things. And I was kind of waiting there, thinking, is Yennefer going to do anything to save these girls? And nope, she just put them in the water, and it's just like, ooh, they're slugs that are lighting up. So, so there you go. It's a tough school. You're not in Harry Potter. You're in The Witcher. I thought that was so cool. The Yeah, it just blew my mind. And then there's the storyline of Dara and Ciri in the woods. So we got to see some of the. So Ciri does find is she at first regrets or rejects the rat, and then she eats it with Dara, who she calls Rat Boy because he never talks to her until later on in the episode. That, of course, was previewed a lot, and a lot of people had saw that before the series and talked about it. So that wasn't a surprise, that scene and the playing off of with Dara. So Dara's not a book character. Dara was created so that Freya Allen had somebody to talk to, and have somebody to play off of. And so Freya joins with the company of refugees from Sintra, and I thought that was cool. But she still is not really willing to reveal her true self to these people, the Cintran refugees, and she's taken in by a rich group of the refugees, and she finds at least the mother is very racist, speciesist against their dwarven servant, and that comes back to haunt the mother when the Nilfgaardians take over. And Cahir is just one step behind Ciri, and thankfully Dara saves Ciri. So I guess Dara was like in the shadows, kind of watching what was going on and watching the company, maybe stealing from the company, but not joining it. So Ciri's got a sidekick with Dara, and the Witcher, Geralt, gets a sidekick with Jaskier. Or Jaskier. Jaskier makes his appearance. He's Dandelion in the games, in the books. But Joey Beatty, I think, is just wonderful. Just really hits it right. And so, if in the first episode, if I felt like Renfrey was like almost a carbon copy of the character in The Witcher 1, the actress portrayal in The Witcher 1, in many ways, I felt that Jaskier was different than the Dandelion, at least I remember from the games and the books. but he did a spot on job. He was his own Jaskier. Uh, even I think he was even funnier and more lighthearted and, and more of a rogue than I was expecting. And I think he just Joey Beatty nailed it. And so if you think of the the fourth most important character after Ciri, Yennefer, and Geralt, I think Jaskier is. I mean, he's the one that has the most ink in the books, and it's so great that they have somebody doing such a great job for that. Um, I guess maybe before we go into the storyline with Jaskier and Geralt, I'll just say one more thing about that. I just found it interesting the kind of uh, the the rivalry between the mages and then the sorceresses. Like, so it was a big shock to see Stregobor in that episode. Didn't think we'd ever see Stregobor again after the first episode, but to see him mentoring Istred, that was cool. So I didn't know that there was kind of a rivalry between Banard and Aretuza. So Banard for the boys and Aretuza for the girls. Um, but these seem to be, ruthless guilds to join in. It's, it's the more in line with training with the faceless men than it is with Harry Potter, and so that was just cool. And I thought Istred's little his little room was cool too, with all the skulls. That was I like that. I also, going back to the Geralt and Jaskier storyline, I loved the art for Posada. I was not expecting that, but it just gave it that kind of magical feel it was a it is a fantasy land, and the first episode everything seems so grimy and dirty, and especially on Geralt's storyline, and then you're at the edge of the world, and it's actually it's kind of magical, right? It's a magical different world out there. Even the caves were pretty cool for the elves. So I did not like. So they got. So Jaskier meets Geralt in the bar, recognizes him. Jaskier has his song that ends with the abortion line, and it doesn't go well. But that was a nice little light touch. And he meets Geralt, and Geralt gets a contract to find out what's happening to the disappearing grain, and Torque, the Sylvan, pegs them with the steel balls, and I did not like the Sylvan as a monster costume. It was a little bit, it was a little Star Trek, I think, like Star Trek, original Star Trek type costume. So I think part of that, why they're not, showing all the monsters in the trailers, some of them a little bit of a miss. I think this Sylvan was a little a little bit of a miss for me, but was it acted well? It was okay, but it kind of looked like a Halloween costume. But there you go. It wasn't too bad. And then you have Philavandril. I think it's the woman, and Toruviel was the man elf, the she elf. Philavandril and Toruviel capture them, and they beat them. And that. Well, I like the exposition, which is very similar to the exposition in the book, and kind of explains the situation to a certain extent. The way they ended that, where you just see Jaskier and Geralt on the road again, right? And then they explained that they were let free, and that that they took their coin, but they let them free. For one, that was a big deviation for the books. But two is like, what happened, right? I had to like, when I saw them back on the road, I was like, what happened? I had to rewind it just to make sure I didn't miss the Jaskier's line, which I had missed a little. I was still kind of flabbergasted by what was going on at the school for the sorceresses, and then I. You know, that 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 ending for Geralt and Jaskier, that just was kind of an afterthought, and it wasn't explained well. I think they could have acted that better um, with a scene, and that would have been better if they just showed it to us. But they didn't. They explained it through exposition, and I don't know. Yeah, and I guess the elves' ears were a little weird. They were just kind of askew in weird angles. I don't know why they were so out there. I guess that's their interpretation of the elves. Is going to have really big ears, but I wasn't I wasn't expecting that. It was a little bit like Toruviel's ears. Why were they askew? Maybe that's something about the books that you could talk about, but I didn't get that from listening to the audiobook a few times of The Edge of the World. You know, I guess the other thing I just wonder, going back to the Aretuza stuff, which just still blows my mind, is like, was Yennefer supposed to see that ceremony? Let's see, did the other two that survive, right? So there were three of them, and three were slugs, and three did well enough. Although it seemed like Yennefer was marginal, right? She was the marginal one, and then Fringilla and Sabrina passed with flying colors, at least with their lightning in the bottle test. But does Fringilla and Sabrina know what's going on? I guess maybe Yennefer will talk, maybe she won't. I don't know. I'd be pretty scared of Tissaia after that one. Tissaia wasn't kidding. If you don't pass, you die. So there you go. So that's episode 2. Tell me what you think in the chat, and what you liked and what you didn't like about about 4 marks. My name's Linus Wilson. We cover fantasy TV. We also do tips and tricks for the Witcher games. Subscribe and hit the bell notification icon. We're going to do another one of these as soon as I watch episode 3. Get some coffee, watch episode 3, and then we'll do another live stream later this morning. Bye. Good luck on the path.